Today we're going to talk about kind of the connection between what we read and what we write down, taking notes in your research, and most of the time this is done at the very beginning of you're reading the articles. We're going to use this to write summaries from. We're going to use this to find information when we go to actually write the paper, and you can mark it up however you want. Now, my advice to you when you're actually doing your research is to use the library website. I know you like Google better, but use the library website. You have less trouble there and less hits. It's hard to think about a million things to look at, literally a million things to look at. The library does some of that kind of weeding out for you, and NC Live and the opposition in context are very good for finding things that you can argue about. Anyway, when we're going to make notes, research notes, I like to have colored pencils, because I love color. You guys already know that. Um, it doesn't always mean anything, but when I'm doing research for a particular project, it does. I'll pick a few colors that I'm just going to use for main lines of reasoning, and pieces that fit in the same concept, same idea. And so I'll have 4 or 5 colors out, and then I'll have my general color, which is usually purple because that's my favorite color and I run through lots of things. But anyway, I'm going to walk through my article. I'm going to read it carefully, um, and I'm going to mark it up. Okay, I'm going to mark words I don't know, that I can't figure out from context, have to look those up. Um, and I'm going to mark things that are identified already in the text. If the author goes through the trouble to define a particular term, it's going to be very important. Okay. Um, and I'm going to look at um, sentences and phrases that use numbers, that are giving me statistics, that give me percentages, that tie into whatever graphic is there in the article. I'm going to use a particular color for that, and I'm going to put things in brackets so I can find them easier. Um, if you like using highlighters, feel free. I'm not a big fan because I can't write with them, and I'm always writing questions in the margin. And that's part of the things you want to do. Make comments, um, write questions. Now, there are some very good helps on Microsoft Word and other writing programs that can help you just highlight and do things like that on the text itself, if you have a full text. Um, but I like to print it out and write on it. That way, I actually have the pieces right here next to me when I go to start writing my actual paper. I don't have to whip between screens and wonder where in the world is this stuff coming from. It also helps me to be able to identify which article gave me which information more easily. Um, and so I'd encourage you to print things out if you can. If that's not your best way to do things, then don't do it that way. I'm just giving you some ideas. Make sure that whatever you're doing as far as notes and things go, that you're going to have some pieces that are going to be in a notebook or on another program, your own ideas, your own summary. This is why I like to print out the articles, because then I can put my notes about them and my summaries on the back. Basically, I have all that extra space there to work with. Um, Number your pages. It helps when you're running through things, or just staple the corner before you get started. Um, the main thing I'm looking for in any assignment that I give you about research notes is that you've actually spent some time with the information. So however you're getting there, if you're writing all over in the margins, or if you're writing notes in a notebook, or if you're using a different program, just all of that stuff needs to be part of your submission. And remember, regardless of which LMS we're using this semester, um, most of the time, can't think of an instance where it doesn't happen, you can submit more than one piece of work. Okay, so you can Um, when you go to submit, you can attach as many as you want most of the time. Sometimes I limit you down to 5 or 6. If I want you to do specific things, I'll say, okay, you have to give me 3 different pieces. So I'm going to give you space for 5 just in case. But make sure that you do all of that attaching before you hit submit. Usually, once you hit submit, you can't add to it. You have to send me things through email and then, which works, but it's still a pain. That way, you don't have easy access to it when you have to go back and use it for something. So make sure when you're reading critically, and you should be reading most of the things that you are assigned critically, which means pen in hand and word by word and however you need to say it to get there. Don't be afraid to read things twice. I know that's a total teacher thing. But I will tell you from experience, being a student for a very long time, um, that there are certain texts that you just can't get until the second time through, especially if something is really new. Um, it's a type of article or it's a subject that you haven't any background in. Um, the first time through, your brain is trying to make sense of things. The second time through, it says, oh, that's how that works. Okay, this goes with this and this goes with that. And it's just much easier. You get more out of it. Um, I know you are very busy and you don't want to read things once, let alone twice, but sometimes it's necessary. So give yourself plenty of time, and that way, when you get done early, you'll have time for a cup of tea or a game. I know I'm old, so there you go. Make sure that you follow the directions on your assignment. And I know I say this all the time, but follow the directions is probably the best advice for everything. Follow the directions, read it again. Um, don't just read the first sentence and think you know what you're supposed to do. Make sure that you read the whole thing. Make sure that if there's a grading criteria or a rubric attached to that, that you walk through that and see what you're looking for. Excuse me, what I'm looking for. But make your citations and your annotations useful for you. Doesn't do any good to use my program and use my stuff and not understand when you're done what you did. Okay, make it useful, make it work, and then basically do your work. Okay, so let me know if you have questions. You know how to get a hold of me. Okay, so